Welcome to the lesson video for lesson 14 of the Mayron Cole Piano Method book level 1. This is going to encompass pages 111 to 120. And we're going to start off with a new note here. We're going to start off with bass B. So bass B is in the bass clef staff. He sits on top. So I have a saying for bass B that goes, bass B sits his big behind on the bass staff. So you got a lot of B's in there. Bass B sits his big behind on the bass staff. So what we're going to do, we're going to practice finding bass B down here. And actually, we're going to come back up here first. Bass B is right next to middle C. So we've been playing middle C over here. Bass B is the key to the left of middle C. Okay, so we're going to start with our notes over here. And our lines. So we start off with B. Next one's going to be C as in cat. So that one's going to be a left-hand C. Then there's our B. Next is going to be our C. So that's a right-hand C. Next is going to be F as in frog. Next is going to be E as in elephant. Next is going to be G as in girl. And then next is going to be D as in dog. Okay, next we're going to connect the lines to the notes. So C is going to go up to C. B is going to live with B. C is going to go to C. So again, even though those are two different hands, it's the same middle C. F, frog, is going to go with frog. E is going to go to E. G is going to go to G. And lastly, D is going to go to D. That's the only D that we have on there. So feel free to go ahead and pause. We're going to skip number 3 on this page, but go ahead and pause the video if you need to fill all the rest of those notes in, and we will go ahead and move on. All right, we're clearing the board. Next up, we have another mystery message here that we're going to fill out. This one's going to use bass B. That way we can practice reading that. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit more so we can see everything. So let's go line by line. There we go. Now we can see everything. So first, we have an E, and then B, and then D, and then B, and then E, and then G. Next, B, G, B. So that's our first line. Let's move down to the second line. F is in frog. E. D. And then E again. Okay, skip on over. Next note is E. And then F is in frog. E. And then C. All right, last line here. We're going to start off with F. F is in frog, and then D, and then G, and then E, and then last but not least, F. Okay, so if you want to pause right there before we read out the mystery message, that way you can catch up, and then we'll go ahead and read it aloud. All right, here we go. So the mystery message says, the band began to play. Bright balloons filled the air. It was a perfect fall day to go to the fair. Now, I'll admit I got tripped up. It looks like there's a period right there after balloons. So messed me up a little bit, but that's totally okay. So we're going to go ahead and clear it. And then we're going to go ahead and move right along to our next page. So our next song is going to be called Back to BC because we use the middle C and B, which is going to be a left-hand song. So again, the video for that will be linked in the description below. Let's go through this here real quick. We're going to start off with letter A. So again, we're going to match up the numbers here and put them in the blank. Letter A, ritardando, which means slow down, gradually slow down, number 5. Next, the G clef. G clef is going to be number 3. C, the F clef. F clef is going to be number 6. And I forgot to mark off 3. There we go. D, the double bar line means the and. So the double bar line, you just look for the thin line and the thick line. It's going to be number 1. E, the sharp sign, is going to be number 2. F, the natural sign, kind of looks like the sharp sign, but it's not. It looks like the sharp sign with a couple limbs chopped off. That's going to be number 7. Almost looks like a backward F, but that's how I write my 7s. G, the tie hold. So that's the curved line that connects to the same notes together. That's going to be number 8. And then H, the flat sign, which is the last one right there. Backwards, fancy B. That was number 4. Okay. Feel free to pause the video right there, get your answers written in, and then we'll go ahead and move right along. All right, here we go. Coming right along here. All right, here's back to BC. As we could see up here, we'll go over this in the song video, but you have the bass B. Bass B sits as big behind on top of the bass staff, and then you have the C right there as well. After that one, we're going to start taking a look at time signature. So what we're going to do, we're going to chop this page in half. Let's do the top number first, or the top half first, I should say. So number 1 and 2. So number 1, the top number of a time signature tells you how many rests or beats are in a measure. So technically this would be beats. So I'm going to write B as a abbreviation. The bottom number of the time signature tells you what type of notes receive 1 or 4 beats. So this is going to be 1 beat. So I know that kind of trips some of you all up, but it's going to be 1 beat. Okay. So top number tells you how many beats are in a measure. Bottom number tells you what type of note receives 1 beat. So again, think of it like this. How many quarters can fit into a dollar bill? It's going to be 4 quarters. Okay. The 4 stands for quarter note. Yes. And it's going to ask you to draw a quarter note. So remember, easiest way to do that. Mine might look a little funky here. Draw a circle, fill it in, and then draw your stick. So a filled in circle on a stick. Feel free to pause the video right there if you need to catch up, and then we'll go ahead and move on. All right, let's keep on going here. Number 3, what we're going to do, we're going to fill in these beats here. So if you want to pause now or pause later to fill them in before we talk about them, or fill them in after we talk about them, you can do that. So feel free to pause now or pause later. But as you can see here, we're counting in the successive numbers. So we go to 4, and then once we hit that bar line, we stop, and then we start over again. So we're going to start off with our half notes. Half notes are 2 beats. And then since we're after the bar line, we're going to go 1-2. Next, we're going to go another half note. But since we're already in the middle of a measure, we're going to go 3-4. Then we have a bar line, so we're going to start over. So now right here, we've got a dotted half note, which is 3 beats. So we're going to write 1-2-3. Okay, and then since we have a quarter note here at the end, it's going to be number 4, and then we have our bar line. So then now we have 1, and then the half note, 2 beats. So because we're starting on beat 2, it's got to be 2-3. Last but not least, we got 4 right here. So there's the 4th beat. Next, new measure. So we're going to start over. We got 1-2 as our whole note, and then 3, and then 4. Then the whole note's worth 4. So we're going to go 1-2-3-4. Oh, that's a 3 right there. Let me fill it in. There we go. Okay. So again, if you're going to go ahead and pause, right there, get everything filled in, and then we're going to go ahead and move on to the next page. All right, let's keep rolling here. Okay, so this one is going to include the 8th notes here. We're going to go ahead and skip number 4, number 5. This is basically saying that you're still going to be counting 8th notes while you play. We're not really going to worry about that right now. Okay, so now we're going to fill these in here. And again, you can fill it in, or you can pause the video now, or you can pause the video later, but we're going to go ahead and start filling these in. Again, we starting off on a new measure. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Next, we've got 8th notes here. So this is where we're going to write the ands or the pluses, whatever you want to write. So I'm going to write 1 and 2 and we got 3 and 4, and then we're going to start over with our numbers because we have a bar line. So half note 1 dash 2, and then 3 and 4, and just like that. Lastly, we've got the last line. So again, starting over with our counting, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Next, last measure, we're going to start off with our restart our counting again. So 1 and 2, 3, and then 4 again. Okay. Now, feel free to go ahead, pause the video right there if you want to fill in those counting or fill in those counts. And then what we're actually going to do, I'm going to pick a C key. Oh, I'm going to turn my keyboard up actually. And then I'm going to play through this example using a steady beat. Okay. So you can skip this part if you want, if you don't want to play along, but if you do want to play along, we're going to go ahead and try that here. So we're going to go 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Just like that. Just like that. So if you want to rewind a little bit, play that again, you are more than welcome to do so. But we're going to go ahead and move right along here. Clear all those out. We've got one more fun sheet right here, and then we've actually got our next song. So what's going to ask you, number 1 is going to ask you to draw 2 quarter notes in there. Again, draw your filled in circle with the sticks. Then we're going to take a look at number 2 here together. And number 2, we're going to add in bar lines now. So we're going to count the number of beats. Now, remember, 2 eighth notes put together, the beamed eighth notes, that count as 1 beat. So I want to draw my line or get my line tool here. 2, 4. So 2 means we're going to have 2 quarter notes in a measure, or the space of 2 quarter notes in a measure. So we already have our first bar line drawn in after those 2 quarter notes. Then our next one's actually going to be after the first pair of eighth notes, because again, eighth notes are worth 1 count. Then, since we have a half note here, that's 2 counts. We get to draw a bar line in right there. Then 1 beat, 2 eighth notes, 1 beat, 2 eighth notes, 1 beat, and then we draw a bar line right there. Okay, then on the 4, 4, now we're going to double that. We have 4 counts in the measure. So eighth notes are 1, eighth notes are 1, half note is 2, bar line. Dotted half note is 3, quarter note is 1, bar line. And actually, if you notice here down below too, watch your counting. So your bar line is going to go right before number 1. Okay, so again, quarter note is 1, quarter note is 2, half note is 2 beats. That's 4 beats. We're going to draw a bar line. Now, we don't need any more bar lines here because we've got the whole note measure right there. We're going to go ahead. If you want to pause, catch up to that, and then we're going to go ahead and move on. All right, coming along the line here, Skip to My Lou. We're going to have the video song or the lesson video for that, again, linked in the description below. We'll have you play along with that. Then last but not least, here's the last page. We're going to do another Do You Know page right here to end the section. Okay, again, filling in the number to the blank on the left side here. So A, letter A, quarter note, 1 count, circle on a stick. It's going to be number 4. B, the half note, the empty circle on a stick, donut on a stick, number 7. That's your 2 count one. C, the dotted half note, it's going to be number 6. D, the double bar line. So thin line, thick line, number 9. E, the sharp sign, going to be number 1. F, the flat sign. Remember, go backward, fancy B, 8. G, the 2 eighth notes. So the 2 eighth notes looks like 2 quarter notes stuck together. That's going to be 2. And then H, the whole note, the donut, it's going to be number 3. And then I, the natural sign, it's going to be, oh, I can mark it, number 5 right there. Again, kind of looks like the sharp sign with a couple limbs chopped off. So, and I forgot to mark the double bar line there. Okay, I'll go ahead and pause if you need to catch up filling in the answers to that page, but that brings us to the end of lesson 14. Feel free to rewind and review anything that you need to in this video. And again, the song links will be linked in the description below, but there's the lesson video for lesson 14 in the Mayron Cole Piano Method Level 1.